I was looking at a lot of YouTube channels was talking about Kathleen Kennedy and she's stepping down, all that kind of stuff, and then how Star Wars has been ruined and all that kind of stuff. And I understand because I don't, I get what everybody's talking about, but uh, you know, man, it's going to take a while for them trying to get that thing back in order. I think there's so much damage that was done to the Star Wars that I just, man, it's going to take a while for it to kind of like get back to this. I don't know if it'll ever recover, to tell you the truth. But, I'm optimistic, but I'm just saying that I just don't know if it's going to be able to, recover like they want it to recover. Sometimes I just think I think they need more than Dave Filoni and that woman. I think it's cool that they letting Dave Filoni take over and that woman that worked under Kathleen Kennedy. It's almost like you need like like a Steven Spielberg-ish, Peter Jackson-ish, Peter Jackson or James Cameron. Problem with James Cameron, it'll take him 7 years to complete a movie. It's going to take somebody that has some type of different type of vision to there's so much Star Wars. It's called Star Wars. There's a galaxy out there, we need to get away from these same type of stories that's, been out there. I'm not in that ball camp of the diehard Star Wars fans. I was late to Star Wars, but I remember when I first watched Star Wars and I was like, damn, this is pretty good. And my daughter is 34 years old and she was a baby. And I remember people talking about it. I was smoking weed, riding around, going to, I just wasn't into Star Wars. And I called myself trying to, I was trying to settle down and I wasn't ready yet. And then I went to my daughter had been born, and I remember I sat down and watched Star Wars, The New Hope, I think it was called. And man, I fell in love with that movie, and I watched that movie over and over again, and I still remember, I can still see myself with my daughter's mom, and she was upstairs sleeping. My daughter's 34, she was just, and I was like, dang, man, I can't believe I didn't watch all this. And I watched that and watched that and watched it. And I was so, man, I couldn't believe I missed out on it. But, I remember when I went, I liked Star Wars so much. Actually that was before. That was before my daughter, her mom, and I got together. That was before. I remember watching that, and I had me an apartment, and I didn't have no kids at this time, and I sit down, I said, golly, this is pretty good. I was smoking weed at that time, so I was young, and I was single, and I had all these junky cars, and then I ended up buying a brand new truck. And I remember when I remember watching The Empire Strikes Back, and I was just blown away by The Empire Strikes Back. And I was so jacked up that when The Empire Strikes Back came out, I watched that at home too. And I was so into that. I was like, God, this is so good. And so I actually went and seen the last one. And I remember going down the highway in this brand new truck to this big theater. It was like 30-something miles down the highway, man. And I was jamming my truck, man, going down. I had this truck. I waxed the paint off that thing. I didn't wax the paint off. I just waxed it a lot, man. I was so young, man. I was jamming my music, man. I went down and got in that big theater. It was a big theater. And I was so young back then. And I remember watching that movie, and I was so ready. And then when I walked out like, I wasn't mad, but I still remember walking out going, and I still can see my younger version of myself walking out, man, because I had no kids at that time. And I was walking out the theater, and I got my truck. I was like, I was just like, I didn't know what to think about that movie. And I realized I do not go back to that movie. I do not go back to that movie at all. Even with all the new stuff, I do not go back to that movie. So there's been a lot of videos out there about, Kathleen Kennedy is, finally quitting, and got Dave Filoni and that girl taking over, which is fine. We'll see what they can do, but I don't know. At this point, I'm just not sure if you could bring back the old Star Wars fan, because the old Star Wars fans, you got to understand, they're in my age group and maybe a little bit older. The only thing I'm saying, because I'm not in that camp, because my little kids was like, when they got old enough and they started getting their own money, I said, man, Dad, the Star Wars fans says, boy, they're really mad, aren't they? I said, yeah. And I said, I know what they're mad about. I said, I understand what they're mad about. I said, but they said, you like Star Wars, don't you, Dad? I said, yeah, but I don't like it like they do. But I said, I know why they're mad. I remember saying that because I was in my mid-30s. And my kids were like 8, 9, 10. They were starting to grow up a little bit. And they was like, boy, Dad, they're really like, I said, yeah. And I remember telling them, I said, yeah, I know why they're upset, though. I said, but I said, you like Star Wars too, though, Dad? I said, yeah, but I don't like it like they do. I said, I fell in love with Empire Strikes Back. I said that was the best one. I thought was all out on. I said I love Star Wars, but I said when I seen Empire Strikes Back, I said Empire Strikes Back. I told, I said that's the one got me on the Star Wars hype train. I said, but when I seen the Return of the Jedi, I said it's just even the name, the Return of the Jedi. That name alone should have been like Return of the Jedi. That thing should have been like, and it just didn't. The movie didn't go with that name. Even when that name popped up, Return of the Jedi, I was smoking weed back then. I was like, oh man, this is going to be, because when that Empire Strikes Back dropped, after I watched it at home and I seen the end, I was like, oh man, they were, whoever that group was, and I guarantee you, if you go back and you find out who made Empire Strikes Back, everybody that was involved, I feel like there was a few people missing in Return of the Jedi. I think the group that was behind Empire Strikes Back, there was maybe 10 or 15 of them that wasn't with that Return of the Jedi. Because listen again, Return of the Jedi, the Return of the Jedi. Can you imagine Return of the Jedi being made by James Cameron? Return of the Jedi. The way James Cameron nitpicks and just makes everything look so, it takes too long to make movies, Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. I mean, just that title, man. I was like, boom! And I walked out of that theater and I still can see my young self walking out, because I had no kids at that point. And I was like, I got my truck, man. I had a half a joint, man. I turned on my music. I was jamming, man, all the way down the highway going home. And I was like, By the way, anyway, in closing, the reason why I don't throw, YouTube videos about Kathleen Kennedy, because I told you guys I'm getting off that hype train. I wish her well. I think that she screwed up, not thinking about the old school Star Wars fans. And where I'm going with this is because I understand what people are talking about. Now, there's some people saying that Star Wars can't be fixed. There's a lot of people saying that Marvel can't be fixed. Marvel went way off and started doing some stuff. It's like, what are you guys doing? And even I got caught up in that. And I told you guys a few videos back that I'm trying to get off this, using the word woke, because I just don't, I really didn't know what woke was, so I shouldn't be using that kind of stuff. Yes, I do not get into men making love with men, and I do not get into women making love to women. You can do whatever you want, though. I just won't be no part of it. But I don't want to be that channel that complains about that. Anyway, so I was thinking about how the Star Wars brand is tarnished, but I was sitting back thinking like this. I was like, okay, as old as I am, and as old as there's people a little bit older than me or in my age group, some of us are, some people, God rest their soul, some of them might not be here. A lot of those old school, Star Wars people. But the thing that I'm trying to make a point about is if Kathleen Kennedy wouldn't have been so, I'm not even talking about her. I know she screwed up things and doing all that. The force is female or something like that. I know she had a shirt like that, and then I get it, you know. And I don't blame Ray or Finn and those guys that all played in the new Star Wars. I just think they just got dealt a bad hand. Just, you know, I don't want to get into that. All I'm saying is that I do not dislike that girl that played Ray or the John Boyega that played his character or the other guy that played his character or, you know, you might say the strongest character was, you know, the one that was you know, the son of, you know, the son that ended up, you know, in the last movie. I can't think of his name. But he really held up his end. Ben, I think is his name. But in closing, I agree. If she would have just fed into the old school, original OG Star Wars and pumped out stuff that they like, that they truly like, because the OG had kids and their kids were having kids. So that means that she would have stuck to the OG. This bear with me. She would have stuck with that, and then because you got to understand, the OG had kids that was almost grown, and they had kids that was kids. So the OG be like, "Oh man, this Star Wars is good." Let's just say Kathleen Kennedy would have just stayed with what made Star Wars. Can you imagine how that fan base would be right now? But it's split. The fan base is just all over the place. And I know a lot of people celebrating the fact that she stepped down. I can't blame them because I know a lot of people, you know, I can understand why people don't care for Kathleen Kennedy. I just don't want to be in that bar cup. I get it. I get it. So anyway, the only Star Wars to me that no one can touch is Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. This is the best Star Wars that has ever been made. Ever. I mean, this is the best Star Wars that has ever been made. Ever. Ever. And I got that bad boy on 4K, man. I mean, I guarantee you, if you was to go back and find out, hey, who was the original group that was behind making this? And they would say, was that the same group that was behind making Return of the Jedi? And they say, no, we had like 5 or 6 people drop off that, and we had to bring some people in to help us make that. I guarantee, because man, whoever was behind this is the best Star Wars ever. Ever to me. And then, I'm not taking nothing away from this. Because like I said, when I watched this, The New Hope, I was just blown away. I was like, man, what the hell? Where was I at? I kept saying. And like I said, I was late to Star Wars, but I'm just not that. I don't fall in that Star Wars camp. But man, when I watched this over and over and over and over and over. And I just couldn't get enough of it. I just couldn't get enough of it, man. God, it was made with such heart and such soul and so, that cast, and it just, I just love it. But man, when I went into this though, I was like, oh Lord, this one here just put me I couldn't wait to see, like I said, The Last Jedi. You know, The Return of the Jedi. I think it's called The Return of the Jedi. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, The Return of the Jedi. Just that title alone sounded just so, And man, this is just, oh my God, this is so good. This is the best. But like I said, y'all, don't get it twisted. Like I told you, I came to Star Wars late. I started watching Star Wars like way after it was, you know, yeah, I was late to us. And when I watched this, I couldn't get enough of it. I just kept watching it. Oh, I still can see my young self watching this over and over and over. I was like, I'm going to watch Star Wars again, you know. Now I'm still smoking weed. I didn't have no kids at that time. And then I kept watching this over. But man, you guys, when this bad boy come out, I was all in. I was all in until I went and I didn't see this in the theater, and I didn't see this in the theater. I didn't see neither one of these in the theater. But you better bet your sweet behind. I did go see Return of the Jedi. Just that title, The Return of the Jedi. Can you imagine James Cameron making Return of the Jedi? I remember when that word came out and I seen the title, Return of the Jedi. I was like, ooh, Lord. I was so jacked up. Man, I got in that brand new truck. I still remember that, man. I went down there I was learning how to drive 5-speed, man. I used to jam out the bang that bad boy in the 5th gear, man. I'd be going down the highway just jamming that music, man, smoking my little half joint. When I went in that theater and watched that come out, I was like, that's one thing I have to say about myself. I wasn't one of those, I wasn't like that. You know, I just remember, I still right now can envision me walking to that truck in that parking lot because that theater's tore down. It's been remodeled. They took that theater out. And I was like, I remember I was like that. In closing, they just could never do it after this movie. I don't know. And this movie had reshoots, but this is one bad to the bone movie. This reminds me of Return of the Jedi in so many ways. Not the same story, not any similarities, but it's just the heart and soul that they put into this. This Rogue One, man, I remember I was like, what the? You know, that's how I was. I was like, dang, you know, Lord, this is up there. You guys, this is up there. I mean, Lord, man, this is up there. Now, yes, I had Andor. I tried to watch Andor. I have nothing bad to say about Andor. It just dragged and it dragged. I was like this. You know, my head was just, I was like, nope. See, once everybody's like, oh, you got to wait till you get into the 3rd, 4th episode, man. It's like, nope, I can't do it, man. Once my head starts snapping, I feel like I'm going to break my damn neck. I'm out. And I heard good things about Andor. But I just wanted to share with you guys, these are the 3 movies. And I got all the rest of them. I even got those ones. Those three ones that came out later on that everybody harped on that made George Lucas sell because they was, so mad about George Lucas because they just didn't, care for those, I call them those 3 in the middle movies. Yeah, I got those too. I can't watch them that much, but I just wanted to own them. But those are not bad movies after you look at what was put out. Guess what? I have the other ones too. Those other ones are not that good, but they got some redeeming qualities. I see what they were trying to do. But yeah, I agree with people. I just don't understand what Kathleen was thinking. But I don't want to get on that Kathleen hate trip. I just thought I'd throw this video up there because I wanted to throw up a different type of video. I am hoping that, and I hope I live to see it, because just gotta, take it day by day. I hope that they can turn Star Wars around. I hope that they can, I don't know what it takes, because there are some people out there, their actual words is, Star Wars is a shit show. That's what they say. It's beyond repair. And we have to see. I still say it's going to take that one person. I don't even think it's Dave Filoni and that girl. I think it's Dave Filoni and that girl hire somebody that's got something like totally that is just going to blow our mind, that'll put Star Wars back on the map, because I don't know what it's going to take to get these 3 movies like this, because these three are just freaking, The New Hope, and then this, man, come on. And then they turn around. Somebody told me, I heard they had reshooted this. They had to do some reshoots. There were some things they didn't like. I think they had to rehire somebody else in the middle of production. And they turned out with this. there's hope, you guys. There's hope. You know, there's hope in the Star Wars thing. You know, I'm hearing things about Marvel too. You know, but people's like, well, Marvel is doing the Doomsday because they're bringing back all the old characters. That's why they got so many trailers of Doomsday of all the OG. I just won't call them OG Marvel people that put Marvel on the map, that made Marvel what it is. They're bringing all them back. You know, they're showing Captain America and they're showing, you know, they're trying to shoehorn in the X-Men and all that kind of stuff. Then it's like they're just bringing them in because they know that people are tired of Marvel, whatever. My thing is, if that's what it takes to bring Marvel back, if that's what it takes for them to learn their lesson, then so be it. Because if Doomsday turns out to be good, which I have a funny feeling it is, then this will make, you know, Disney is the only company out there that's pumping out billion-dollar movies. As much as people can harp on Disney is still able to pump a billion-dollar movie out there. They're surviving, you guys. You can talk about Disney all you want, just like you talk about Netflix. Disney and Netflix both, for some reason, are surviving. You can hate on both of them, but they are finding a way to win. People don't like Netflix because what they're doing, but everybody says, well, I don't know how they got all their subscribers. Well, do the math. I hate Disney. I heard people say, I hate Disney. Disney is this. Disney has done some shady stuff, but so is Netflix, so is Peacock, so is HBO Max. But, you know, my hat's off to Disney. I hope they can turn it around. I hope these two can do it, but I just think it takes somebody that's got some boom. That's what it's going to take. Somebody's out there that could just come with a home run, man, just knock it out of the park. I mean, make us go like, what did I just watch? Holy crap. You know, that's what it's going to take. But I just don't know who that is. I really don't. That's what we need. That's what Star Wars needs. So, anyway, guys, God bless, take care. We'll see you next video. We'll see you.